We have many visitors in Asia today. As they wander through the temples in silence, astonished and sometimes puzzled by the greatness and beauty of our past, they want to know how and when all this came about. Their guidebooks give them one answer: dates, facts, figures. But while looking at our sculpture, perhaps they will sense another answer. Perhaps they will come to understand something of us, the peoples of Asia. While the visitor is looking at the splendor of the past, perhaps he may feel he is seeing something we still carry in our hearts and minds. But our history also led us into solitary paths, for we seldom learn to share our riches or our problems. Each nation stood alone in victory and suffered alone in adversity. Today, the jungle and the past will not let us forget the penalty of following separate roads. Working together among ourselves and as part of the whole family of men is now the challenge for us. And while we are rooted in our heritage, our concern must be with tomorrow.
In the wake of the Second World War, the United Nations, in its search for ways to keep the peace, established, among other regional bodies, the Economic Commission for Asia and the Far East, known familiarly as ECAFE. Headquarters, Bangkok. Officially, its purpose is to further measures leading to the economic development of the region. In practice,
a forum where our governments put forward their ideas and learn how best to tackle our economic problems, where our experts study and exchange opinions. Here, sitting down face to face, sometimes for the first time, we are coming together in freedom to share our problems and our resources and to seek solutions, our own solutions.
To spend on the project.
Alors, messieurs, en ce cas-là, utilisons l'argent tout de suite, sans perdre de temps inutile.
À mon avis, Monsieur le Président, nous avons besoin actuellement plus d'équipement que d'argent.
Chairman and gentlemen, it occurs to me that New Zealand designs some of the finest waterjet craft in the world. Why not use the New Zealand cash to acquire New Zealand boats?
Today we are no longer alone in prosperity or hardship. Our paths are no longer solitary ones, for together we are rebuilding a great road to link each of us to the other.
Middle East. Thank you. Asian Highway is not a new idea. As a matter of fact, I have got this map specially prepared for you, on which we have shown the caravan routes that existed centuries ago. Also on this map you will see some of the routes taken by the great conquerors many centuries ago. As you see that the southern route here, it existed about 5000 BC. And now let us go back to our project of Asian highways. From the map you will see the magnitude of the project. We have got international highway links from Saigon and Singapore on one side to Europe on the other. The distance between Saigon to the border of Turkey will be about 10,000 kilometers, and the total network will be in the neighborhood of 50,000 kilometers. So you can imagine what magnitude a project is.
What are the countries in this project, Mr. Ahmed?
They are Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Ceylon, Burma, Thailand, Malaya and Singapore, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam.
In how many years do you think that this project can be completed, Mr. Ahmed?
We are following mostly the existing roads of the countries. We have only to fill up the few gaps, and if the countries cooperate, this is easy. And we should expect this project to be completed within a few years' time.
Don't you think you are being a bit too optimistic?
Of course not. If the cooperation of the countries is forthcoming, I am sure the Asian highways will be completed by 1965.
Work began when ECAFE, at its third session in Manila in 1953, launched a program to study the development of highway links to cross national borders, to arrive at standardized road construction, and to simplify frontier formalities.
There is much enthusiasm for this great task. The Asian Highway is coming into being, a great through road from Saigon in Singapore to Tehran in Istanbul. In the past, travelers knew this route as the golden road to Samarkand, and the camel caravans carried their cargoes of silk and spice to the gateway to the west. The camels still have the right of way and a path to themselves. East to west, west to east, linking the road networks of Asia and Europe, bringing together the tourists and travelers of two worlds, helping to make them one, opening up new routes for trade and commerce, for knowledge and friendship. We are a large family. In fact, we are the world's largest family. Nearly 1,600 millions. We are already something of a problem to ourselves. Every year, there are new mouths to feed and new families to house. Every second, 3 new babies are born. Every second.
To promote housing development, regional housing centers have been set up in India and Indonesia. Here in Bandung, the Indonesian government runs a center to experiment with housing materials and building methods suited to the hot, wet climate of Southeast Asia. Its purpose is to make fuller use of local materials and adapt them to modern designs and new demands. The center maintains test grounds. The effect of the climate on a variety of materials used in construction is observed. Before a new design is accepted for full-scale building, a model is assembled to discover practical problems. The need is for simple dwellings, and these, made entirely of local woods, sometimes bamboo lashed together, must be planned for construction with the simplest of tools.
Nails and bolts can be too costly for our people, but to weave a rope out of coconut fiber or to whittle a wooden peg comes naturally to our villagers. And so, with a length of rope, a simple saw, a sure eye, and a strong hand, a gable takes shape, a house rises. To build houses, move families in, and let communities grow haphazardly is not enough.
The social life and growth of a community must be planned, and hand in hand with any housing scheme, community development experts must be trained. The research goes on. In New Delhi, housing experts of the Indian government search for materials best suited for hot, dry climates. The practical results of their experiments are used in new communities springing up throughout Asia.
Railways have been part of our landscape for over 100 years, but in many of our countries, they were built by foreign engineers. Today, we operate them ourselves, and we need more and more trained men to do this.
In Lahore, the Pakistan government runs a training center for railway signaling and operating personnel. In a model room, which is every small boy's dream, operators learn the complexities of modern railway traffic. Railwaymen come from all over Asia to study the latest equipment. They learn and compare systems used in various countries to ensure efficiency and safety. In a full-scale railway layout, the lessons of the classroom are practiced with actual equipment. In Karachi, a telecommunications center planned by the International Telecommunications Union is operated by the government of Pakistan. Trainees from all over Asia come here to develop the skills which will enable them to run the new radio, telephone and teleprinter networks of the region. They learn to operate the equipment of modern telecommunication and study the latest methods of transmitting sound and picture. While a photograph scanned in the capital of one country is sent across the frontiers, another photograph is received and developed for reproduction in tomorrow's newspapers.
Our poets sing of her. They say, she is a song bursting from the hills to gladden our valleys, to nurture our lands, and to bring us life and abundance. They tell of her as the shining hair of the goddess, garlanded with the fruits and flowers of the earth. But most often, they speak of her as our mother who gives us life and provides for us. The river. The river guards our homes and is our livelihood. On her banks we are born, her waters carry our days. All our lives she is with us. All our lives she is with us, and in the end she bears us to our rest. Such a river is the Mekong, who gathers 4 children in her arms: Laos, Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam. 17 million people depend on the Mekong for their very existence. Sometimes it is a swift, broad stream. Sometimes its waters drop almost to the bottom of its wide bed, making navigation a hazard. At times, its swollen waters burst its banks and flood out the fields. This means the ruin of crop and destruction. But for all its majesty and life-giving qualities, the Mekong is largely going to waste. Only primitive attempts are made to harness its force, and a great source of power and wealth continues to empty itself into the sea.
In 1951, the Bureau of Flood Control and Water Resources Development of ECAFE began to look into the potential of the great river which, from its origins in the snows of Tibet, flows for 2,525 miles to the South China Sea, the 10th largest river in the world. The construction of dams at certain points in the river was proposed to control seasonal flooding and to generate about 14,000 million kilowatt hours of low-cost electricity, an ambitious scheme which will do nothing less than change the entire economic life of 4 countries.
There's a message for you from Canadian Survey.
The men behind the Mekong project were not surprised when they heard it dubbed at first as a dream to be achieved so far in the future that it could hardly interest us today. Yet what seemed theoretical a few years ago has already by 1960 emerged as a practical proposition.
706528. Stop. Please supply data on width of river bed. Please supply data on width of river.
The task of establishing engineering and other studies is well underway. The next stage will be planning specific projects and designing installations. About 6 years will be required for the actual building of the first major structures.
Completing the project might take 20 years. Many of the men who are now giving their energy and skill to it will probably never have the satisfaction of seeing it in operation. For the scheme is a vast one and cannot be undertaken without a great deal of preparation.
In March 1960, the chairman of the Mekong Committee was able to tell the 16th session of ECAFE. Through Australian aid under the Colombo Plan, we have commenced the geologic investigations. Through Canadian aid, we are preparing aerial maps. Through French aid, we have installed and are now operating hydrologic equipment. We have installed rain gauges supplied by India. Petroleum and diesel oil has been presented by Iran. Japan has completed the first phase of the tributaries reconnaissance. New Zealand and the United Kingdom are gifting watercraft. And through the United States, we have established a network of hydrologic and meteorologic stations and services.
The 20-year dream is taking shape in reality. And we must learn to sail the waters of the Mekong with greater confidence, shipping our goods even to the open sea.
In Rangoon, capital of Burma, ECAFE has assisted the International Labour Office to set up a regional centre to train marine diesel engineers. Students come here to learn a new mechanization, the mechanization of the waters and on the sea. They come from all over Asia.
From all over Asia we come to learn the skills of our new age. So again, we reach out to knowledge and abundance. These guardians of the future, with the bright instruments of a new life in their hands, remember, as they plant the roots of tomorrow, the lesson of the past. Working together, we carry wisdom in our hands. Alone, time and the jungle vanquishes us. The imprisoned stone of earlier glory warns us. But we are no longer alone.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a determined effort has been made by the United Nations Economic Commission for Asia and the Far East to assist the countries of Asia in expediting the development of their economies and to proceed in a systematic way with developments in commerce and industrialization and improvements in agriculture, transport and communications. In the great task that lies ahead of building a better, happier and more prosperous Asia in a better, happier and more prosperous world, it is very gratifying to note that countries of Asia are working together as true partners in progress. We may have a long way to go, but we are traveling in the right direction. And what is most hopeful, we are traveling together. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the report on industrial development.